Hey there, and welcome back to Tactical Breach Wizards. My name is Pete, and today we complete a second look at a game that was extremely well received last week, so I thought why not play some more of it. In today's episode, we will see a bit more of the game's story fleshed out, we'll meet a few more characters, and we will also unlock a bunch of new achievements. And speaking of achievements, there is actually one hidden achievement that we failed to get last time, all the way back in the prologue, where we played through that last mission of Zan and Liv Kennedy. Now luckily, in this game, rewinding is a perfectly normal gameplay mechanic, and thus nothing is permanent, so let us simply head back into that first mission. The moment we're looking at is that very last room on the ship, where we have to make a choice, save Liv or save the hostage. Now, if you've watched that first episode, then obviously you know the outcome of this mission already. Trying to save Liv will only get the hostage killed, and the game does not allow us to proceed with that. So after rewinding, the logical next step would be to shoot the hostage taker. However, we can in fact also simply target the hostage. And no, they surely did not expect that, but it certainly did not help us complete the mission objective, although it did unlock the Outside the Box achievement. And that achievement persists even if we rewind once more here to complete the mission properly, just the way we did last time. And so, since this is in fact the only call the game allows us to make, let us rescue the hostage. All we have to do is move right next to them and then blink out. And so, here we are again, ready to continue where we left off last time. In that first episode last week, we were introduced to Jen and Zan, wizards with an aptitude for tactical combat and pushing people out of windows. On a difficulty that's even harder than what the game suggests as hard, we played through the first few missions, unlocked a few achievements, and found ourselves in the middle of a police station under attack by Zan's former partner Liv Kennedy, who then abducted the currently imprisoned Dessa Banks, apparently working as a doctor for the local druid mafia. We are now fast on their heels, trying to find a blood sample from Dessa in the Stonecliff evidence lockup, which is once again under police control. And unfortunately, the local officers on duty were not exactly helpful, so we defenestrated a few more of them and will now pick things back up in the third of 3 levels on this mission. Where are you going? Both these overpasses lead to the next building. We can do it in tandem. Okay, but you get shot the moment you walk through that door. Oh, good note. Let me breach first, I can take care of it from my side. And there we are, back in the game, ready to breach once more. This time we have 11 enemies to dispatch off, and once again we also have confidence goals for both Zan and Jen. Zan wants to somehow manage to fire his predictive bolt before the 4C phase, while Jen simply wants to keep pushing people out of windows 3 in 1 turn this time. And as you can see, there are plenty of targets available here. On Zan's side we begin with a sharpshooter and several enforcers, so let's breach. Now that sharpshooter can actually fire all the way over to that second walkway where Jen is waiting, so we have to take him out before she can move in. As usual, we're doing so through a window and then set down predictive bolt, and very important here, we do not want to move with Zan just yet, as we are now about to complete his confidence goal right away. So predictive bolt right at the security door here with the enforcer right behind it, and then we jump over to Jen, who can now breach on her side. Now right in front of her we have a laptop, and using that we'll open this security door, so let's see what happens. And there we go, the door opens, and that immediately puts the enforcer in the pathway of Zan's predictive bolt, who therefore pulls the trigger before the 4C phase, thus completing his confidence goal and unlocking the rigged achievement. After moving up Zan as far as possible, we have one action left with Jen, but we're not going to use it. Yes, she could defenestrate another enemy in that opposite corridor, but for her confidence goal it's actually very important that we keep them alive. On the next turn then, we breach another door, and Jen is now face to face with another enforcer, and while we could take them out with a predictive bolt, we're not going to. as doing it this way will allow Zan to move just a few tiles further afterwards. So let's get him into a breaching position, but very importantly we won't breach just yet. Instead we can take note of the intel over on the other side and end our turn. Jen, by the way, also has some intel over on her side of the corridor, and we absolutely want to grab that for what comes next. She is now face to face with 3 trackers, and we also have 2 enforcers over on Zan's side. High time that we breach with him as well and use his 3-bolt burst to push one of them back 1 tile. This will now allow us to complete Jen's confidence goal by setting up a chain bolt that will kill 1 tracker and push both enforcers out of the window. So that's 2 hostiles defenestrated on this turn. We need 1 more for the confidence goal, and the tracker here is in perfect position for the Gale Grenade. And there we go, confidence goal completed. However, we still have 1 enemy standing and no actions left, which is why we now need to move Zan next to the intel here to unlock time boost, which we can then give to Jen for the killing blow. And there we are, that leaves us with 3 enemies in the last room. Time to get in there and take care of them. Now this final part of the mission is actually rather straightforward. After breaching we can simply use Jen's static blast to take out the tracker right in front of her. And over on the other side of the battlefield we can do pretty much exactly the same with Zan. The sharpshooter then only blocks Jen's entry but won't do us any harm on this turn, and neither will the reinforcements that are about to come in. So then, it's 2 versus 2, this should be doable, even though none of our operatives can reach the door at the moment, so the least we can do is have Zan open another one and then take out the sharpshooter. This now allows Jen to move in safely, but once again she can't block off the reinforcements just yet, so we'll have to be content with eliminating the tracker here and to this whole affair taking 1 more turn to complete. Now, just because we can, we are going to set up another predictive bolt with Zan here, although unless we aim that directly at the reinforcement door, chances are enemies will not walk into it. And as you can see, that is also the case right here, so Jan has to blast free her way to the door, and then we move in with Zan to take care of the last remaining enemy. And there we go, that would be all objectives, including the confidence goals, completed. I think it might be possible to do this in 5 turns if you ignore Jen's confidence goal, but that is of course not the completionist way. I found Banks. She was between Jubba and Hiddlesbottom, logically. We've all found ourselves there. This has her blood samples in fridge 5, room 304. So 1 floor up, great, let's go. You brought the newt bones? I don't leave the house without 6 to 20 newt bones. Okay, so where is she? She is about 100 meters east. Did you perform the spell 100 times too small? Nope, she's in the next building. And what's that? Controlled substances, I think? And why would they break her out of 1 police station just to take her to another? I don't know. Wanna go find out? After I realign some time crystals, yes. Meanwhile, over with our villains. Steve, you're sure this is every gram of blue you have? Yep, every seizure in the DSR ends up here. Alright, Bori, light it up. All will burn in very mild fire. It is not mild fire, that's a total misnomer. I should not have to take this from a traffic cop. I'm a Traffic Warlock, and you are a failed arsonist. I'd like to see you untangle the M6 spaghetti junction with some lukewarm flames. Lukewarm? Much as I'd love to hear where this clash of the intellectual titans goes, we have a ride to catch. Steve, stick around and make sure your cop pals don't push this out. Bori, bring Banks. Well, that exchange raised a lot more questions than it answered. By the way, that was that fire guy I was telling you about. Oh right, I do remember him now. So when I said fire guy earlier, you didn't think of the guy you know who's permanently on fire? You meet a lot of colorful characters in this line of work. Aren't you unemployed? That's what I mean. So, who is he? Borikesh, the less lethal pyromancer. How does that work? I think his flames are like quite hot but not fire hot, you know? Like you can't go on about your day, but it's more of an aloe vera situation than an impromptu cremation. So is Liv's team burning mana? Why? Not for the smell, I'm guessing. Why do the Rushwater PD even have this much mana? The street value of this must be billions. They're supposed to destroy it all at the end of every month. Maybe a defense told them to. I've heard of states stockpiling it on the QT. No one has a military use for it yet, but they're all scared someone's gonna find one. So you look like you want to ask something. Yeah, who's the guy in the Dayglow robe? Oh, that's Steve. Steve Clark, Traffic Warlock. I keep running into him on my cases and I always forget what a slimy prick he truly is. Wow, Jen. Shit. Get f***ed, Steve. Can we take him? How good are you at dodging spectral cars filled with skeleton ghosts? Never made it past regionals. Let's see if that cuts it. Right, meet Steve the Traffic Warlock, for now the only enemy in this area, although we have 3 reinforcement doors about to change that. Now, as you can see, the Traffic Warlock is heavily armored and possesses quite a few hit points, as well as the Crush Hour ability. Every turn on the 4C phase, all of those red tiles in the room will be overrun by a spectral motorcade of Ghost Riders, damaging everyone who's standing on one of those red tiles, and it also bypasses cover. Needless to say, we need to pay a bit more attention to our positioning on this one, as well as to our 2 confidence goals. Zan's should be easy. If we win this mission, we will likely do so at full health, while Jen wants to, surprise surprise, push Steve out of a window. And, well, usually, Steve's movement alone will get us halfway there already. So after moving in and grabbing the intel with Jen here, there really is no point in attacking him. Zan, meanwhile, will move over to the other side and lay his predictive bolt down right in front of the reinforcement door. The Crush Hour attack is then launched, but as you can see, it doesn't do anything. One half of the reinforcements also gets popped immediately, and our placement on the sides of the room also ensures that Steve moves exactly where we want him to. Obviously, he will always move so that he can hit someone with his Crush Hour ability. In this case, however, that makes him extremely vulnerable, first to a Gale Grenade, and then with him standing right in front of the window, let's use Chain Bolt to eliminate the tracker and defenestrate Steve the Traffic Warlock. And there we go, that's Jen's confidence goal completed, as well as the Back on the Streets achievement unlocked. And since we have not yet moved her, let's do so to seal reinforcement door number 1, only for Zan to follow suit shortly after. In doing so, he can also grab some intel, but we're likely not going to need that. And that leaves us with only 1 reinforcement door and no enemies currently visible. So let's skip ahead to the next turn where we have an enforcer incoming. Good to know that it's not always just the 2 hit point trackers emerging from these doors. And well, once again, a window seems like the easiest way of taking them out. So let's grab some intel just because we can, then use Static Blast to push them back 2 tiles, which puts Zan in the perfect position to finish the job. As you can also see from that little hourglass, no reinforcements will spawn from this door on the next turn. Still, we want to get into the habit of using Predictive Bolt whenever we can. For this one, however, we only have one more objective, and that is to seal the door to complete the mission. And there we are, another mission completed. It was in fact the last of Act 1, and both Zan and Jen are already up to 4 confidence points. At 5, we unlock our first new outfit, and that is actually right around the corner. So, with our 2 heroes hopping onto Jen's broom, we now have a way of tracking our target, although unfortunately, so far, that has not really helped us get to her. But, well, at least we pushed Steve through a window, so that's something. And with the mission now complete, we can also finally level up Zan. At the moment, he has 2 main abilities, 3 Bolt Burst and Predictive Bolt. For the Burst, we can either grab a flat +1 damage bonus or unlock Supportive Fire, which essentially allows Zan to fire for free whenever Jen uses her Static Blast. In regards to the action economy, that seems pretty useful, but so does conviction for the predictive bolt, which we're actually going to grab over validation, which only gives us mana if the shot fires on our turn. Conviction, meanwhile, simply allows us to use predictive bolt again if it knocks someone out. Again, a nice boost to the action economy if we can time it right, but don't worry too much about this, we can always change these. For the time being though, we'll lock this in and then enjoy the last storyline moments of Act 1. Did not like that guy. Right, Steve was always an asshole, but he's never actively thrown a ghost card at me before. New low. When we get back, can you scry again to find out where they took Banks? Oh, no need. Blood scrying updates in real time for up to 36 hours. Shoot, that's impressive. Can't beat blood for utility hexes. So where is she now? North by 80 kilometers already? Is that possible? Is she moving? Give me a sec. Yes. Extremely, yes. God, like 400 meters since you asked? They've got a chopper. Of course they've got a chopper. Man, chasing a multi-billion-dollar PMC's best operatives by public transport is surprisingly hard. So where do you think they're headed? Liboli. Reactor has a black site west of Aldo. Nice, quiet place where they can do what they want to prisoners like Banks. Then I guess we're going to Liboli. Yeah, in like 14 hours when the next ferry leaves. Can we stay at your Mars place tonight? Yeah, she'd love that. She should be back from bingo by now, actually. Oh lordy, you didn't tell me you were having company, Zan. I would have cleaned. God, what must you think, Doc, that I live in filth? Oh, you should see my flat. I can't move for gold skulls. This is Jen. Do you remember I mentioned her? You know I don't remember my own name half the time, Duck. Lovely to meet you though, Jen. Can I get you a brandy? Or something stronger? Well, what's stronger than brandy? Oh, I'm glad you asked, Duck. A woman after my own heart. Zan, you didn't finish the skullcracker, did you? You finished the skullcracker, Ma. In June. Oh, nonsense. He's a terrible liar, this one. A liar and a drunk. Takes after his father, I suppose, and his Ma. Oh my god, Ma. Now, how long will you kids be staying? Just the night if that's okay, Ma. Of course, love. Stay as long as you like. Where are you off to tomorrow? Liboli. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, you must take Jen to the Naval Museum in Aldo. You remember where I used to take you on your birthday? Oh, she would love it, Zen. We are there to stop a team of Black Ops wizards torturing a hostage and starting World War V, Ma. I'm not sure there'll be time for the museum. Oh, it's such a lovely country, Jen. Not like here. Didn't you and Dad flee for your lives because a farmer corp tried to kill him for whistleblowing? Well, every country has its problems, Duck. Have you been, Jen? I have. Actually, it's where Zan and I met when I did my mandatory tour. Oh, so you know. Lovely. I expect he's told you his origin story? That's not what we call it, Ma. And I'm sure she doesn't want to... Oh, I absolutely want to hear your origin story. Oh god, don't we have a map to update? Oh, I saw your map. It's lovely to see you doing crafts again, Duck. I'm glad someone's finally using those wretched thumbtacks. I bought that box in 1943 and I've scarcely made a dent. What's it about? There's no easy way to say this, Mrs. Veska, but your son is just terrible at filing. I had a system. I just never got around to making the system. Ah, you've got your father's spirit, Zan. Aw, that's sweet. No, he had a terrible spirit. Just a dogshit spirit. Ma? Well, I'm sorry, but that man would give up on anything. I once saw him give up on a spoon. Slipped out of his hand and he just left it there. Ate pudding with his fingers. Flimsy soul, too. Alright, and after that lovely interaction with Zan's mom, we are back at the map screen. By the way, let me know if you'd like me to lean a bit more into doing these voices. It's not really what I do, but I could certainly try to spice it up a bit more. Now, we have met a few new characters, starting with Steve Clark, the Traffic Warlock. Once again, feel free to pause here if you want to read the full dossier. For the moment, all we know is that he apparently takes orders from Liv Kennedy. And the same seems to be true for Borikesh, the less lethal pyromancer. I honestly can't wait to fight this guy, and we most likely will, as he too is part of Kennedy's team. Now, despite his less than lethal pyromantic abilities, he still managed to burn the mana stockpile. Although what we are dealing with here seems to be street mana, it's essentially the pure stuff cut with other drugs. What we don't know yet is why Rushwater PD decided to hold on to this instead of destroying it, and if it does have some secret use or value, then I think it's even weirder that Liv Kennedy decided to destroy it. Still, let's keep connecting dots here. It was stored at the Stonecliff Lockup, the same place where we obtained Dessa Banks' blood sample. Finally then, let's connect Borikesh to the pile of burning mana, and we're starting to get ourselves a nice picture here. Before we deal with the black side then, we also have a few short lines on Zan's Mars place, our temporary headquarters it seems, before we make our trip to Liboli. That, I believe it's a country, is where Zan knows of a reactor black site, and that is where we assume Liv Kennedy has taken Dessa Banks. And there we go, that's all the dragging and dropping we can do for now. Still a lot of unanswered questions, but we're making some progress. You're out of brandy, so I made tea. Do you really want the story? It's long-ish. And in true completionist fashion, how could we say no to this? Oh, you will love this, Jen. Building it up isn't helpful, Ma. Okay, so this was Riasi, 78. We're on escort duty for this RNS diplomat. And our APC driver, Valdini, she's hearing a noise she doesn't like from the chassis. We pull over, and of course, as the FNG, she sends me under there to check. And I find 3 kilos of plastic, colored wires, a blinking red light, the works. I don't know if I have seconds or minutes before it blows. I don't even have wire cutters. All I can think is to rip all the wires out at once. But as soon as I think it, there's this flash of pain, so sharp I think it's blown already. But it's still there. So I think about just ripping out the green wire, and flash, it hits me again. When I think about ripping out the blue wire though, nothing. I just see myself doing it clear as day. So I do it. Red light goes off. And I just fucking collapse. And that's it. That's how I unlocked. Adrenaline, delirium, and a desperate need to do exactly what it turns out I can do. So did they put you on bomb defusal after that? No, it turns out most bombs blow whichever wire you cut. Once I could foresee without passing out, the brass put me through a craft training process to help control it, then fast-tracked me to Special Forces. And that's where I met Liv. So then who was trying to blow you up? The bomb was a merc job, but this was Riasi in the 70s. There's no way chapel money wasn't behind it. And what did Valdini say? Oh, her reaction focused very much on being right about the dragging noise and much less on the discovery that I could see through time. Well, it was a good story nonetheless. I don't know where he gets it, Jen. Not a magical bone in my body, nor your father, especially not your father. He would suck the magic right out of anything. It's not hereditary, Ma. But you might have something, you've just never been in a life or death situation that required it. Well, it's certainly not shut your father up about the quickest route to downtown after 5 PM. That came up all you like, and I thought my life was over every time. We'd better get some rest. First ferry to Liboli's at 7 AM. Right, and with that we have officially made it to the end of Act 1, unlocking the Break achievement. We'll keep playing for just a bit longer though, as Act 2 takes a few moments to really get going. So my contact got back to me. She knows a guy who delivers supplies for Reactor. He's gonna let us ride in with a shipment of bathroom supplies and pornography. Oh phew, I thought getting there was gonna be a whole thing. You serve with Liv long enough, a lot of people want to get on your good side. I didn't tell her it's Liv we're tracking though. Banks hasn't moved, which fits with her being held at the black site. If she's still there, then Liv's still there. My gut says they need her for something. If you're right about the stakes of this, we need to get there yesterday. I feel like we've moved about 4 inches in 2 hours. Yeah, this is torture. I'm gonna find somewhere to kip. Right, and while we have a bit of downtime here, we are introduced to the chats menu. These are optional conversations that, for the purpose of full completion, we will of course play through. They do not affect the outcome of the campaign, but they do help us get to know our characters a bit more. Especially the second conversation here is quite important in that regard, but let's go through them in order. And yes indeed, Jen actually owns a cat, so what's your cat's name? Daryl. You named your cat Daryl. My mum did. She isn't really a cat person. Well, he's a treasure. What does he do? You mean magic? Nothing. He is surprisingly chill about being on the ship. I think he just has such disdain for life that he won't acknowledge this is any worse than usual. Good for you, Daryl. And there we go. That's the first small conversation completed. Let us now continue with number 2. Can I ask you something? Shoot. How are you so sure about all of this? You were always the guy double-checking our orders, hedging our bets, better safe than sorry. No offense, it was comforting, none taken. But now you see an old friend causing trouble and you walk into a police station with an assault staff? I kind of forgot you were this sharp. Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not just that Liv's playing with fire. It's that I know what happens in a month's time if we do nothing. I thought you could only see 1 second ahead. On a good day, yeah, when I'm in control. But sometimes I get flashes. They're brief, they're rare, and I don't know how far ahead I'm seeing, so most of them tell me nothing useful, and the temporal whiplash lays me out for days. In one, though, I saw a date. It was etched into a massive stone slab, 18/6/92. Above a list of hundreds of names, thousands. I can't tell where I am or when I am, and they aren't names I know, but I know it's a war memorial, and I'm swallowing a feeling like a throat full of rocks. I did nothing. So when did you have the flash? 3 months ago. Right after Liv Kennedy came back on the map. Right, so ominous foreshadowing here to say the least. I think by now you get why in the first episode last week I mentioned that this game relies a bit more on storytelling than other games like perhaps XCOM. So let us proceed with exactly that story now. Hi? Hi. Oh, wait, are you really here? Explain where here is, then ask me again? Shit, sorry, I think you're in my dream. This happens sometimes. My foresight runs wild while I'm asleep and it can drag in other casters if they're dreaming too. Gonna need some clarity on runs wild. Well, okay, it runs combat drills. Combat's when I use it most, so that's what it knows. So we're about to fight a completely meaningless battle? Yeah, sorry. I can kill you if you'd like, that'll probably wake you up. Nah, I'm good. I could use the practice to be honest. I don't get shot at much in typical private investigation. Yeah, they're not bad for building confidence. Alright, let's breach. Alright, welcome to Zan's brain and to our very first dream training mission. Essentially, these work just like regular missions, but they are completely optional. However, just like Zan said a moment ago, they are a great tool for building confidence. In this case, only Jen has a confidence goal. She wants to defenestrate 3 enemies, and these 2 items here will help us do that, intel and an air canister, and the latter will cause 3 tiles of knockback to any adjacent target if it's damaged. Which means we can actually complete this mission and Jen's confidence goal quite quickly, grab the intel and then launch a chain bolt, first at the grenadier, then at the air canister, and finally at the tracker over here. And indeed, that was brief. Yeah, there's usually a bit more to him than that. Wanna do another? And yes indeed, as we complete this first dream training mission and collect another point of confidence for Jen, we have in fact only scratched the surface of what is going to be a whole nother rabbit hole. In the overview screen, we have now unlocked the Dreams menu, from where we can access both Dream Training and Proving Grounds missions. And the description here is already quite fitting, I think. These are challenges, once again entirely optional, but potentially very useful if you want to grab a few more confidence points. Not to mention that some of them can be quite tricky, so it certainly does not make you worse as a player if you complete a few of these. For today's video though, I think we'll leave them be and instead jump over to the outfit screen, where with 5 confidence points we have in fact now gained the ability to unlock Jen's first outfit. We can select one of Desert Detachment and Jungle Tracker. Once again, these are completely cosmetic, so let's go from the top with Desert Detachment, which then also unlocks the Confident achievement. And with that, I think we have reached a good point to make the cut for today. I think by now, with these first 2 videos, you should have a good understanding of what Tactical Breach Wizards is all about. Originally, my plan for this game was certainly not for it to become a full series, but let me know in the comments if you would like us to keep playing. Me personally, I would also be fine with just leaving it at this. 2 videos, the first of 4 acts completed, that seems like a solid first impression to me. But of course, I would also be more than happy to just keep playing if there is an interest for it, so let me know your honest opinions in the comments down below. And with that, let's make the cut for today. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, then I would be very happy if you could leave a thumbs up. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me and my channel further, then you can of course go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date, grab some merch over on shop.petecomplete.com, or check out and maybe even pledge to the Pete Complete Patreon. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.